I used to think my smartwatch was helping me stay productive and healthy. Turns out it was doing the opposite. Let me ask you this. If you have a smartwatch, do you obsessively look at your wrist to see if your fitness circles have closed, or see your battery level, or it buzzes on your wrist? What if the thing you wear to stay in control is actually controlling you?
What? No!
A little while ago, I watched a video by Mr. Who's the Boss, where he talked about how he never used the smartwatch before, but maybe now it's time.
So, for the most part, I was wrong. I've gone from completely detesting the idea of a smartwatch to now being completely sold on them.
And it made me think, hey, maybe now it's time. Maybe, I should give it a try. So I got one of these. It's a Series 8. I got it used. I think at the time, Series 9 was the latest and greatest. Previous generation got a little bit cheaper. Hey, I didn't know if I'm gonna want to wear one, so I figured I'd get it used. And I did. Maybe it was a $50 or $70 cheaper, something like that. And you know what? At first, I loved the convenience. I loved being able to look at my wrist and see not only the time, obviously, but also if my circles are closed. I'll launch a timer if I wanted to and see what the weather's like over the next 5 days. It was great. And one thing I did initially, also following Mr. Who's the Boss's advice, was turn off a whole bunch of notifications.
Really? Really?
And for about a few months, I felt like this is great. I was really motivated. I really wanted to close my circles, right? Not only those steps that you get counted, but also the calories burned and the exercise and all this other stuff that comes with having a smartwatch. I was really into it for about, I want to say 6 to 9 months, somewhere there. But then something started to change. I felt a little bit more stressed out. Like, I gotta wear this watch every morning I woke up. I'm like, where's my watch? That started to be a little sick.
Sounds to me like you have an addiction that we might need to address.
And I thought, all right, no problem. This is just a phase. I'll get over it. I really appreciate the fitness tracking, right? And it was just about a couple weeks ago that I figured it's time to upgrade my phone. And I have an iPhone 11. I had an iPhone 11. And it was obviously dated, 2019, right? It's 2025. It's time for an upgrade. But I started to look at Android phones.
Traitor!
Right? Because Android has come a long way, and there's going to be its own video coming up later. But I started looking at Android phones, and I figured, well, if I'm going to get an Android, I can no longer use my Apple Watch, right? Because it only works with iPhone. So when I got my new phone, it actually ended up being Android, a Samsung phone. So I could no longer use my watch. Okay, but there are Galaxy smartwatches, Pixel smartwatches, Garmin, right? Any of that stuff I could use.
I miss you already.
It wasn't a rage quit, like, never wearing that thing again. It was more of an experiment. One of the things that initially got me excited about wearing a smartwatch was the fitness tracking, right? The heartbeat, is it 120? Am I actually exercising? Am I burning calories? How many calories did I burn on that day? Did I close my exercise loop? All those things were initially exciting, but it kind of became stress-inducing. I wasn't exercising for myself anymore, for my health. I was exercising to close the circles on my wrist, right? So skipping a workout felt like a failure. Before they added the ability to gray out that day, I felt like, I didn't close my loop. I'm so bad. When the day was nearing the end and I was still working, yeah, there are days like that. And I thought, it's 11:30. I got to get my 20 minutes of exercise in. It was a chore. It was pressure. I felt like, I really gotta do this. I would jump on a stationary bike and pedal for 20 minutes while listening to a podcast just to get it out of the way before the clock rolls over to the next day. And it didn't feel good. The other thing, and I'm sure anybody with a smartwatch can relate, is the charging. This watch can last for about day and a half. I turned off all the notifications so it doesn't buzz that much, but about a day and a half. Not bad, but bad at the same time.
Oh, it's bad. It's real bad.
Like if you think of a regular watch, right? It can last months. Hybrid watch, it can last months. Even there are some Garmin's that can last like 2 weeks. And to be frank, I charged it basically every day because if I didn't, it would run out in the middle of the next day. Thing is, when would I charge my watch? When I'm sleeping, right? Well, hold on, but if I'm sleeping, then I'm not tracking my sleep. I just couldn't find the time to charge it, so I ended up charging it at night, which then meant I'm not tracking my sleep.
All our modern technology is useless.
I know I am.
Plus, tracking sleep feels a little weird with a watch on. So if I would take a nap, I'd keep my watch on, and that was fine. When I passed out, I wouldn't even feel it. But I felt a little weird about wearing a watch to bed. One last reason, when I switched to Android, I felt like, where's my data going? You know what I mean? With Apple, it's one thing. Maybe it's encrypted on device, doesn't go to the cloud, although it kind of goes to iCloud, right? Because it syncs across devices, so it has to go somewhere. And I thought, okay, well, but if Google is gonna be collecting my data, is that gonna be a problem? You know Google, right?
Dude, if you think that's bad, go to Google Earth and type in your address.
I didn't feel good about Google Fit having my health data, my heartbeat, where I go, right? GPS tracking and all this other stuff. So I felt like, all right, I think this might be the time where I give up the smartwatch.
Traitor!
So what happened when I took off the watch? Well, I just went cold turkey. One day I woke up and I just didn't put the watch on.
Good job!
And 3 days later, I took the watch off my bedside table and I put it in the closet. There were a few moments where I kept looking at my wrist and seeing, oh, nothing there. But I got over it pretty quickly, maybe a couple days, maybe 3 days.
Good job!
There are some positives from not wearing a smartwatch. First, I don't stress out over the rings anymore. Exercise is intentional. I go for a run because I want to go for a run, not because I have to because the device is telling me to. I do stretching. Apparently at my age, that's what we're supposed to be doing, but stretching, not really exercise, right? It wouldn't close any circles or anything, wouldn't burn any calories, really. So maybe at the time I would feel like, well, I'm not gonna do that because it doesn't help my numbers. But now I'm like, hey, let's toss stretching in because again, it's intentional, not for a device. I go for walks, weather permitting, play soccer with my son. Basically, I get my exercise in without worrying about, did I close my circles? And it's funny actually, because when I first got the watch, my son would always be like, Daddy, did you close your circles? And I'd be like, oh, let me look. But now my son sees that I don't have the watch on anymore. He doesn't ask me anymore.
Off the hook, you guys, off the hook.
So to summarize the main points, if you have a smartwatch and it works for you, great. I rode the bandwagon for about a year and a half, and now that I don't have it, I don't miss it anymore. I don't miss having to charge it every day. I don't miss having to cram exercise in right before the end of the day just to close my circles. I don't miss this bulky, fragile, expensive piece of tech on my wrist. I do, however, miss the convenience of having the weather, the payments, the car unlock, and of course the time on my wrist. But switching to Android gave me an opportunity, gave me a chance to reset and see whether I really need a smartwatch.
I don't need it. I don't need it.
Smart doesn't always mean better. Sometimes, freedom is the better choice. If you've been feeling the burnout from your smartwatch, maybe it's time to take it off. Do you love your smartwatch? Hate it? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your experience. Maybe, hopefully I'm not alone. And if this gave you something to think about, consider subscribing. I talk about tech from time to time. So stay tuned and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.